political parties have an obligation to publicly disclose the sources of their private funding. We're now joined via Skype by Lobby Group's spokesperson, and that's Dale McKinley. Dr. McKinley, thank you very much for your time, and good morning to you. Let's latch on to this Bosasa issue. So monies paid by this company to politicians, security features installed in their homes. Is this the typical example of the dangers of the secret funding of political parties and politicians, if you like?
I believe it's the tip of the iceberg. It's something that's sort of come up in our view, obviously, but yes, it's a representative. In fact, it's fairly small scale. From what we've been able to tell. There have been, if you look at the amount of money that was exchanged or that was given for the last presidential elections, it ran into, tens of millions for each political party. And we had no idea where that came from. Bosasa's relationship with the ANC goes all the way back to the 1990s, I think, as most people know, particularly with correctional services, the running of the Lindela camp, the ANC Women's League involvement. These are fundamental questions that we, as Right to Know, as well as many other civil society organizations and citizens, have been raising for a long time, because it poisons our national politics. If we don't know who's giving money to the political parties, we don't know what the deals are. In other words, if there are any favors that are being asked for. We've seen with the State Capture Commission how this plays itself out with a particular family and particular interests. This this Bosasa issue could go much, much deeper. So it's very incumbent upon the president, if he wants to stem the blood that's going to be flowing from this example, to act very quickly and to act very decisively. Not simply in regards to making sure that everybody knows what happened with the Bosasa donation and paying it back, but the more structural relationship that exists between the ANC and many donors, the DA and many donors, the EFF. So when political parties jump onto this bandwagon like Mamane and Julius Malema and start going after Cyril Ramaphosa, they have every right to do that, but then they must look in the mirror, and we must know who gave the EFF money, who gave the DA money as well. So that's why the political party funding bill must be passed, and we don't have any reason to understand why the president has been sitting on it for several months now.
And that's my next question to you, because the presidential spokesperson told us just a few minutes ago that consultations, in inverted commas, are still on the go, yet this bill has been sitting with the president since March. Why is it stalling?
Well, I think the one conclusion that we can come to is the ANC and many of the political parties, I would imagine, don't want to have to deal with this before the next elections. It's simple as that. This bill, as is noted, has been sitting on the president's desk for months. He could have dealt with some of the procedural issues, checked out with the IEC and so forth. These are not very difficult things. But it's clear that if Parliament doesn't get passed now and the president doesn't sign it, it's probably not going to come into effect before the elections. And that means the political parties are going to have free rein, once again, to accept all sorts of donations. So it's a fairly opportunistic answer to give us that it's a procedural matter when that procedure could have been dealt with for quite some time ago. I think we must, the incumbents, the president here must understand that people want to see the transparency, and if he doesn't, it's going to cast a very dark shadow over these elections, because people are going to be asking the questions, well, who's buying influence and what the deals are being made? This has become clearly a big political and electoral issue now.
And you look at the relationship, Dr. McKinley, between the president's son, let's call it a business relationship between the president's son, and then you have the same company contributing towards President Ramaphosa's internal political campaign inside the ANC. What does this make of the cleanup campaign that Ramaphosa has been undertaking? What will this do to that if it doesn't act decisively and very swiftly?
Well, first, it gives it a very big black eye. I think many people are willing to give Cyril Ramaphosa the benefit of the doubt to say we really, support a lot of this cleanup and some of the actions that are being taken. But this has given, I think, people, a pause for thought. And it's raised a range of issues that have been sort of hiding in the closet in many ways. They go into all sorts of other potential donations and close relationships. So if the president doesn't deal with this now decisively, it's not just simply going to affect him and his family and his reputation. for being a crime fighter or dealing with corruption, but the entire ANC is going to be, I think, brush with that brush. And it's going to affect it. People are going to be asking these questions, whether it's at a local level or whether it's at a national or international level. Well, who's influencing the party? And the other opposition parties mustn't feel as though they can just make political hay out of this and only just isolate the ANC and Ramaphosa. They are going to have to answer exactly the same kinds of questions. So this is not simply a matter of the ANC and Ramaphosa, although this is what we're dealing with now. It's a matter of all political parties being honest, being upfront and being transparent and getting money out of our politics, or at least controlling that money influence in our politics.
These business relationships, Dr. McKinley, just very quickly, we're wrapping up now. These relationships with the business people and the governing party, the ANC, is it too early for us to draw parallels between the Guptas and now the Watsons?
I think it's a bit too early to that. I think the Guptas and that relationship went on for over a long period of time and affected many state institutions. The Bosasa relationship needs to be uncovered. There's a lot of controversy there. I think there are many people that need to answer questions. But again, if the president is honest and deals with this, I think people will say, okay, we can recover that confidence, we can recover that trust. But if he doesn't, it's only going to ask more questions are going to surface, and the ANC will pay a serious price, as will the president.
All right.